Hello and welcome to tonight's show.
Welcome to another video about paradise and welcome to the last video in the Panama series. In the next video we are going to head over to Cuba. In the last video I told you about money, how much you have to plan for your budget to travel to Panama, and in this one I'm going to tell you a little something about transportation, the food, the language, the weather. Basically everything you got to know when you are planning to go to Panama, or stuff that might inspire you to go there and plan your next vacation. So without further ado, let's get into it. Like always, we start with a short little disclaimer. We spent 24 days in the country of Panama. We came in from Costa Rica by foot and we are going to fly out towards Cuba. The first 4 days we spent in Bocas del Toro. We only planned on staying there for 2 days, but extended over and over again because it was really nice over there. Then we drove down to Boquete where we spent 2 days, and then down to Santa Catalina, which was quite a ride. We stayed there for 3 days and then headed over to the Valle de Anton. There we had another 3 nights before we headed to Panama City, where we spent a total of 8 days with day trips from the city. The first topic is transportation, and this time we didn't rent a car anywhere. We only had a scooter for 2 days on Bocas del Toro to get around, and in the other places we always relied on Ubers and taxis. And to get inter-city connections we took shuttles and buses. If I would do it over again, I would rely more on buses because it's way more fun, way cheaper. But for some connections it's not that easy to do that, especially like in between Boquete and Santa Catalina. That's like 4 different buses you have to take, and therefore we took a shuttle bus, but that was quite expensive. You can find them everywhere. If you find more people you can divide costs, but still it is quite pricey, so I wouldn't do that again. For taxi and Uber, what you gotta know is Uber doesn't really work anywhere apart from Panama City. You won't find any. You can always try, and if you're lucky you will find some. But yeah, in most places taxis are available. I still use the app sometimes to check prices, to get a feeling for how much to spend for a certain distance, and then be able to negotiate with a taxi driver. Another form of transportation which might come into play are boats, especially like if you do day trips from Panama City. You can go to Tobago Island, something like that, or to the San Blas Islands, which go by a new name, which I'll put right here because I don't know it right now. And you can go there, or you can also drive up the Chagres River, and for that always look for tours and stuff like that. That's way easier, but for some places I guess it's also possible to get, like in Santa Catalina, you can just walk to the beach and then ask someone to bring you somewhere and then pick you up later again. That works totally fine. For food, most of the traditional Panamanian dishes, like, I have to read this, sancocho de gallina, which is a chicken stew, or arroz con pollo, which is rice with chicken, or patacones it's mostly chicken, and there's a lot of seafood as there is a lot of water around, and that's not vegetarian or vegan, so we didn't try too much of that. We cooked for ourselves most of the time if possible anyways. But yeah, apart from that, I always recommend to try the local dishes because it's always an adventure as well. And as for vegetarian and vegan food, like always, check happycow.com because there you will find some really good options. Especially Panama City is quite packed with vegan food, especially in the old town. You will have no problems whatsoever to find something. For the accommodations, we were quite lucky most of the time, especially in Panama City. You will find quite a high standard of accommodations. In like Santa Catalina, it's a little more budgety and the rooms are a little more basic. On Bocas del Toro, we stayed in the Pineapple House, which was really awesome. The guy who owns the place, really cool guy. Shout out to him. I would recommend that place, even though it's very scary in the first place because it's right next to the airport. But like there's a plane every couple of days. I don't know, like there are very little flights going in and out of Bocas. And in Boqueta, I don't really remember the name, I will put it down here as well. We were quite lucky to get into a place which was just built and therefore we got a really good price, and that was one of the best stays for quite a reasonable price ever. The price, as I already told in the last video, that we spent in average for the accommodations was $75 per night. And if you don't know that yet, if you book for longer stays, like in Panama City, we only had one accommodation for 8 days. That makes it cheaper because you will divide some costs over a span of time. If you haven't watched the whole playlist of the whole Panamasian adventure, I will put it in the end of this video as well. And if you watch that, you will find that we met so many nice people, like that guy Bex FPV that we met on the hike in Valle de Anton. He was willingly taken videos of me in Panama City. Those parkour guys were really nice and friendly. Everybody was really open-minded and yeah, I really enjoyed that. For a very German point, and that is being punctual, we had 2 bad experiences on Santa Catalina Island. The boat driver left us waiting for over 1 hour to pick us up and we were kind of freaking out a little bit. And the same experience we had in the Valle de Anton when we were supposed to be picked up by a taxi and we were waiting and he didn't show up and we took a colectivo in the end, but we had to walk there to find it. Next topic is beaches, activities and highlights, and obviously in the highlight category falls Bocas del Toro, as we stayed 4 days instead of 2 because it's really cool. The island vibe is really nice. The people are chilled out. With the scooter you can go to different beaches which are not overcrowded, and also if you have a scooter and stay there long, because you're not there just with the boat tour or something like that, you will be there all on your own with the locals, and that was quite an adventure and really fun. Especially the kids are really curious and fun to interact with, so I really appreciated that. Then Coiba for diving, absolutely awesome. Would do it over and over again for the chance on hammerhead sharks alone or to see those cool mole rays again. That was just awesome. And in the Valle de Anton, the hikes are really nice. In Boquete as well, there you can climb a volcano from which you can see both oceans for sunset or for sunrise. And that's supposed to be really cool. We skipped on it because it was really expensive, and by now it's forbidden to go there on yourself because it's too dangerous. That's at least what we were told. Another thing that I wouldn't miss out on if I were you are the San Blas Island, or his new name, because that is just paradise. Beaches and islands, I couldn't describe it better. And if you take a multi-day trip there, I guess it's even better.
Time now for your latest weather forecast.
As Panama is quite a long stretch of a country, obviously the weather differs a little from place to place, but I will put the chart for Panama City up here so you can get a feeling for what to expect. The rainy season is from May to mid-December, where it's quite hot and muggy, but if you skip on this period, you can't really go wrong because it's quite nice. The water is warm all year long, so you can't really do something miserably wrong. Number 8 is diving and snorkeling, and obviously, as I already said, the go-to option is Coiba. There are some other dive areas, but I found that to be the best one. On Bocas del Toro, the dives were okay-ish, and also the snorkeling was okay, but that didn't really blow my mind. But as I said, Coiba, absolutely worth it, absolute recommendation. Rapid fire questions. The first one is most valuable item. Again, sunscreen. Style of clothes you should pack. Have light clothes as it's always warm. Have some rain clothes just in case, and bring your swimmers for sure. The item we missed was more sunscreen, because you can never have enough of that, and in countries like Panama that stuff is really pricey. Best place in my opinion, as I already said, Bocas del Toro for just island vibes, Coiba for diving, Valle de Anton or also Boquete for hiking. Panama City is more like big city life. If you want to have your Western standards and stuff like that, go there. And San Blas Island just for the adventure. The most overrated place, in my honest opinion, is the Panama Canal. Yes, it is very important. Yes, it is quite cool to see if you haven't seen the canal before. But apart from that, I know all the Panamanians are really proud of it, and I can understand that from the point of history, and that's quite interesting, the history of the canal. But for visiting, wasn't really worth it for me. The spoken language is Spanish, but you will get along with English quite well. If you want to, and I always would encourage you to do so, use some Spanish words. Here are some. Hola is hello, sí is yes, no is no. Por favor is please. Donde está is for asking where something is. And you should always take a dictionary beforehand, or maybe ask Google and check out some words, because people always tend to be really friendly and nice if they have the feeling that you at least try. The currency of the country is the Balboa, and $1 US equals 1 Balboa, and they will also mix that up, so it is treated equally. So it might be that you pay with dollar and get Balboa back, or the other way around, or that you get some US dollars and some Balboa as change. So yeah, not really hard to calculate, not really something you have to worry about. Who is Panama for? In my opinion, almost everyone. As I already said, different places for different interests. But who is Panama not for? In my experience, animal and wildlife lovers, as we didn't see any. Like, we seen a monkey here and there, but in total it was way less than in the neighboring country Costa Rica. So if you know of wildlife, you should go there, and maybe check out my playlist about Costa Rica as well, because that was wildlife overload and I really loved it. Should you rely on guides and tours, or should you try to do everything on your own? In my personal experience, I guess San Blas, you couldn't do that by yourself, because that would be really hard even to get to the pier. Also to get to the Embera village, they wouldn't let you in, I guess. On the other hand, in Boquete, the walking tour, I guess we could have done that by ourselves. Like I said, to go to the volcano, you might be able to do that on your own, although it's not allowed. So you should take a tour, which is really expensive. Internet and phones, we got a SIM card and enough data for the whole 24 days and spent $35 on that, so really nice and easy. The only place that we didn't really had internet was Soberania National Park, so it was quite hard to get a Uber to get out of there. And I am not sure, I think on Bocas de Toro there were some places where the connectivity wasn't that good, but there we didn't really needed it, so we didn't really care. Safety is another point to have in mind, and we felt very safe everywhere apart from some occasions. In Panama City we were driving through one of the little poorer neighborhoods, and that didn't feel too safe. Apart from that, always be conscious about your surroundings. Maybe look it up before you want to go somewhere if it's safe or not. For the visa regulation, you should always check where you are from and how long you're going to stay and what the current regulations are. At the time that we entered the country as Germans, it was really easy. There was a visa on arrival, so nothing to plan beforehand. Just came in. It was good for I think 31 days, and then you just get your stamp and you'll be fine. Last but not least is the culture shock, and there wasn't really one. Like, depending on where you go, if you are in an Embera village, that might be some kind of culture shock for sure. And also we stumbled into this devil dance festival. I don't really know because I didn't understand when they explained it to me what it was, but on Bocas de Toro there was the devil dancing around and I'll break loose. But that is more like a cultural thing and something really nice to experience more than a culture shock. I hope this concludes everything you want and need to know about Panama. If I missed out on anything, leave it down in the comments below and I will gladly try to answer those questions as well. Also leave a like if you found this video helpful and make sure to hit the subscribe button to be present for the next adventures. As I said, Cuba is going to be next, and that sounds really adventurous. I hope to see you in the next one. Until then, plan well, have a good vacation, stay, holiday, whatever. Travel as much as you can, and I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.
Good night, and thank you for watching.